time, I want to be respectful of that. So we have started the recording, so behave. And I'm going to introduce our guest today, who's going to be sharing his wisdom on how to gain influence in your marketplace, authority, and of course, translate that into more customers to serve. And so I have the great pleasure of introducing Keith Collins to you. Keith and I go way, way back. And I remember when, gosh, Keith, when did you start doing
It's
more than
20, it's 20
wrong?
years. That was with Randy Masters
Yeah.
and we were doing those presentations
Yes,
at his office. That was 20 years ago.
that is amazing. So two
Yeah.
decades I've known this guy. And I mean, you could see that Keith was going to be successful from the very get-go. Um, but actually, you even exceeded my expectations. You really have grown into a leader in your space.
Thank,
And
thank you.
it's really a privilege to have you here sharing with our team today because I have watched some of the videos that you've produced on trending subjects in our industry and thought, that's damn good. That Keith Collins is doing great. And I know that you built your practice in Sacramento and Placer County and then relocated your family to Tennessee. And as so many Californians have,
Yep.
and but yet still able to serve some of those folks in on the West Coast. And I know your social media has enabled you to actually serve clients in multiple states. So you might talk about that. But we have about 30 minutes for you to share, and we like to leave a little bit of time for people to ask questions as well. And if you have a question that comes to you guys as Keith is sharing his strategies for social media and the different platforms, please put that in the chat, and then I will address them in the order that they are received. So Keith, why don't you take it away and tell us a little bit about what you've done in social media on the different platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and how realtors might take some of those strategies and make it work for themselves.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity here to chat. I will jump into it and say, the majority of my business that comes from social does come from business to business. I don't do get a lot of direct consumer to business referrals and opportunities. So my perspective has been a little bit different in terms of what I'm doing with social media. But I do think that as a real estate agent, especially in an area where people are relocating in, social media, specifically YouTube and Instagram, is an amazing untapped resource, free resource to be able to educate customers and reach out to real estate agents, other real estate agents for inbound opportunities. I'm just going to throw a couple of things out here a little bit as I get into this, and then I'm going to jump into maybe 3 tactical things that I think everybody could do regardless of your comfort level with social media. First of all, if we're looking at Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, I think there's a couple things to really pay attention to. And it's the origin of what it was for, right? So Instagram was for images. That's what Instagram was originally made for, was for images. Now they've moved to video, but it's imagery, right? So Instagram is imagery and beautiful imagery. And the really cool thing, and I say this a lot, is I feel like being in real estate is like legal insider trading, right? Like I don't tell people that I'm in mortgage. When someone asks me what I do, I tell them I'm in residential real estate, because residential real estate is the cool, sexy topic that everybody wants to talk about. What's going on with the market? What's going on with interest rates? Anytime I meet with somebody for the first time with a cup of coffee and it doesn't have to do with business and they ask me what I'm doing, they always want to know what's going on with real estate. And so that's where I think the opportunity comes from some of these platforms. So Instagram is for images and cool things that are happening in the marketplace. Facebook was designed so grandma could see what's going on with her grandkids, right? Like that's what Facebook was designed for. Like my grandma, she's 85 and she's on Facebook. It's awesome. She will type like in the comments, you know? And so that's how grandma connects. And it's and honest, and that's what she goes on to see. She goes on to see her grandkids. And so we have to keep that in mind, because I think sometimes what happens is we look at social media as this farmer's market to sell, and it's not that. It's an opportunity to engage. It's a database, right? And you you wouldn't take your database and sell your database the way people are selling on social media. And so when we look at Facebook, we have to understand that it's a community of people trying to share information to get to know each other more. And it's one of the greatest databases out there. And then YouTube. Number one search engine in the world is Google. Number two search engine in the world is YouTube. And YouTube is an amazing place for people to learn and get educated, especially about new areas. If I were to do it all over again, and if you follow me on Instagram and social and YouTube, you will see a trend in the last 6 months and definitely a trend moving forward where I am focusing more time and energy into YouTube and less in Instagram. The reason is this, and I told you this a little bit earlier, Don, or on our call, I think what yesterday or the day before,
Yeah.
is YouTube is constantly prospecting for you. Whereas Instagram, you have to consistently feed the beast. And let me explain what I mean by that. It's common that you'll go to YouTube and search for something, and YouTube will pitch you a video that was done 3, 4, 5 years ago. As long as YouTube deems the content relevant to your search, they will send you that video. Instagram, I can't remember a time I saw a video from 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know, every once in a while I'll get a video sent me from a real estate agent saying, hey, is this thing true? And maybe it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months old, but it's not 3, 4, 5 years old. So from an Instagram standpoint, you have to constantly be feeding the beast. Whereas from a YouTube standpoint, it is constantly prospecting for you for new customers. And then the leverage opportunity, especially in a relocation market, when someone says, hey, tell me a little bit about Granite Bay. Oh, hey, you know what? I actually just did a 6-minute video on Granite Bay and all the really cool restaurants or restaurant scene or whatever. Like, you instantly are an individual that has invested time, energy, money, and resources in an educational way to be able to give that information to your customers. So it's not only, YouTube is not only like an opportunity for you to generate organic leads, but it's an opportunity to solidify the new leads that you have, because you immediately are perceived as the industry expert because you're talking about a city that you may have just moved to. A great person to follow is Ken Pozak. So Ken Pozak on YouTube is an amazing person to follow. He last year got over $100 million in closed volume from YouTube unpaid. He's in Orlando, Florida, and he moved there 5 years ago.
And is this a realtor lender?
This is a realtor. He's a realtor. So I'm just saying, like, if I was going to go do a YouTube strategy, why not copy the person that's doing the best as a real estate agent, right? So Ken Pozak. And so that is also the beauty of social media, is follow people that are doing it really well, that are actually selling real estate, because there are people that are doing it that aren't selling real estate, but that are actually selling real estate, and then copy what they're doing. But Ken moved to Orlando from some other area and just started teaching people what it's like to live in Orlando.
Megan,
He landed.
will you track down Ken Pozak on the internet and put a link in the chat of him?
I'll Google him. So from a YouTube standpoint, if you're in an area and you're all over the place right here with EXP, so there might be different places that you're at, but if you're in a high traffic relocation area, I would just be the area expert on the cool cities that you're working on, and you can utilize that to generate organic business, but you can also use that to educate people when someone sends you a referral. Hey, I'm looking at Spring Hill, Tennessee. Oh, I just did a video on that. Let me send it to you, and then we can set up a time to meet. So those are kind of I think, like, really stepping back from a high level standpoint on those 3 different platforms.
Yeah, especially like what you said about YouTube. YouTube to me, besides being a search engine and a platform where we can produce content that is evergreen, so to speak, I think it's absolutely the best to position yourself as an authority in the marketplace. And, to be able to help you establish credibility and be able to, and I think there's a lot of agents right now that are questioning their value proposition as we are faced with the NAR settlement and the issues that we're going to have to contend with on the buyer side. Keith, now in our pre-interview, you mentioned that there are some things that are what did you call it?
I call it the narrative gap.
The
But they're off
narrative
limits.
gap,
I think they're off limit
subjects
topics
that you can't cover in 30 seconds. But why don't you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I use this as an example a lot, and this is in and going back more to like 2020, 2021, 2022. But if you were to follow real estate agents, and I'm just putting myself in the shoes of a customer, and you're following a real estate agent, and all these real estate agents just sold this home $30,000 over list, sold this home $50,000 over list, sold this home $60,000 over list. No wonder why they thought our job was easy, because we told them that it was. We set the expectation with clients that every home should sell for $30,000 over list, rather than saying, hey, we just helped this customer sell their home for $35,000 over the expected list price by executing our 5-step strategy. That strategy includes boom, 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 right? You're educating the customer. What's happening though, and it's no wonder why they're beating us up on our commission, is we've made our job, which is not easy, look way too easy. And it's the narrative gap. We're putting information out there without explaining what it means. The best thing that you can say when you're starting a topic is what this means to you is. Because we are selfish people. We are on social media to learn about what this means to me. Well, I don't care that you sold 562 homes in the last 32 days. Like, I don't care. And your clients don't care. What they care about is how does what you know and what you do impact me if I'm planning on using you to sell my home? That's what we have to tell people and teach people. And so my concern with the NAR lawsuit is that there's not enough time to explain the complexities of what's going on. And when I've seen a lot of real estate agents try to tackle this topic, because it's a highly complex topic, it doesn't come off in such a way where we're educating customers. I worry that maybe customers are stepping back from that, thinking, this person's just fighting for their commission, because that's what it seems like a lot when that stuff's coming off. I think for the most part, the NAR lawsuit should be, unless you just lean into it and then like constantly educate on it. But if you're saying, hey, I'm just going to go do this one video because I'm all fired up about it right now, not a good idea. Because you need to have a comprehensive plan in place to be able to educate your customers over time as to what you do, how you do it, and how this impacts them moving forward, rather than just giving them a 30-second video of what they should do. And so that was kind of the topic on that NAR thing. But that's where, it's like just listed postcards, right? Like I hate just listed postcards, right? I just do. It doesn't really tell them anything. But what if instead, when you did a pre-list appointment, you went and saw what Zillow said the value was. And then when you sold that home, you actually sold that home for $82,000 over what the Zillow's estimate was. And then instead your postcard was, your neighbor just sold their home by enlisting our 3-step process to sell their home $82,000 over what Zillow said it was worth. Give us a call to figure out if you can do the same thing.
By the way, I like the phrasing of that positioning against Zillow, because I think that some homeowners perceive Zillow to be more of an authority than an agent. And if you've got them $82,000 more than the Zillow estimate, boy, how wrong could they have been if they would have relied on that information, right? Hey, by the way, Megan is trying to search for Ken Pozak. How do you spell his last name?
I got it.
Oh, you did find it?
Yeah. I found his and Justin helped me. I found his YouTube and his Instagram, and I just put it in the chat.
Pozek.
Okay,
Ken Pozak. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think, yeah.
What if the NAR settlement is off limits? What do you think? What is your favorite go-to message?
A couple of things, and that's great. So, great question. So, first of all, how many questions do you think you could ask in an escrow? Just typical escrow, from hey, ring, 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 I'm thinking about buying a home, to they have their keys. How many unique questions do we get from a client? 50, 100? Every question is content.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you get a question from a client you're like, wow, like I've never heard that one before? And it's funny because every once in a while we'll get something that's super unique and out of left field, and maybe it's because they're weird, but for the most part, like the questions are very similar, and all buyers are asking those same questions. And so if it was me, I would just start answering those questions. And so for me, I have a video inbox in my email, and whenever I get a question from a client, I'm like, ooh, that was a good one. I just send myself an email, because I batch content. So when I shoot video, I'll shoot like 15 videos in a day, and then it gets all taken care of, and then it's edited and uploaded later. But I start with that. Anytime I get a unique question from a client, and I send myself an email. Anytime I see a video that I really like from an agent or another lender or whatever, I'm like, oh, I could do that. Maybe I could do it better or differently. I send myself an email. and I put that in my inbox for that. So the first thing I would start with is the questions you're getting from your customers. There's this agent in South Carolina. I know you're going to ask me the name. I completely forget it. She's a relocation agent. She's on YouTube. She gets a ton of business relocating from clients that are in the clients moving to the Carolinas. She got a video on how do realtors get paid. This is before the whole commission lawsuit. And I'm, she's in her car. The sun's like coming in the window. I think she's like doing her makeup at the same point in time. And she's got like 1 million views on this thing on how real estate agents get paid. How often do I talk with a first-time home buyer as a mortgage lender and they ask me like, okay, like I understand your fees, but how am I going to pay for Sue? Oh, our answer used to be different than it is now, but that's a very common question that clients ask.
By the way, Keith, can you speak to what year was it that the mortgage brokers were required to disclose their fees? That was not that long ago.
Yeah, 2000. So Dodd-Frank, I think, was 2010, where everything changed and how we had set compensation. Compensation had to be set, couldn't change, has to be disclosed if you're a broker. A lot of the things have moved on from there and evolved. But yeah, our industry was really thrown up in the air, and that was Dodd-Frank Act 2010 after the great crash.
And the point I want to make about that, you guys, is that that was a tremendous transformation of the way that mortgage brokers had to approach the conversation of compensation for themselves with their client. And turns out that was 14 years ago. They're still here.
And we ended up making more money. Honestly, the compensation reform was probably one of the greatest things that happened in the mortgage industry, looking back on it.
Isn't that interesting?
But in the middle of it, we were, I mean, my dad was a mortgage guy. That's how I got into it. I remember sitting at a table with my dad, and because he was in Southern California, I was in Northern California, and he told me, this is the end of our industry. I'm like, whoa. And, I believe in the entrepreneurial nature of the real estate industry. I mean, it is just so cool what we do and how we do it. And we're going to figure it out. Some people are going to struggle for sure, but we're going to figure it out. Like, it's still a relationship business, and AI is not going to take over what we do tomorrow. And you're not going to get paid an hourly rate. That's just silly. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree.
So every video, every question you get is content. That's the first thing I would do. And then the second thing I would do is current events, but I would make sure that you focus on what this means to them, and maybe current events in their area, or something, how it relates to, something that's going on in the community. What I think that is the place to be is when something happens, your clients see the news, see the Wall Street Journal, see, Channel 13, and they stop and think, I wonder what Keith has to say about this. That's where it is, right? And then when we think about these platforms, we also have to think about why the people are there following us. For example, if someone's following you on Instagram, it's because they found one of your videos, and then they elected to follow you based on something they saw. And so I think you have to have a point of view or a perspective, because there's a reason they're following you. And then if you start talking about donuts and cookies all the time, like they're going to get confused as to your message. And we see that a lot too, right? Is with an Instagram page, gone are the days where Facebook's going to shut you down because you're talking about your business. No. Like, you can talk about it. And so something that I would say is so people find you from your feed, right? So that's your main content. People find you from your feed. They get to know you from your stories. So your stories are like a day in the life. Okay. And then you build trust with them through your DMs, right? Your messaging. Do not forget about sending direct messages through Messenger to people. That is it's like texting. It's an amazing form of communication. Someone follows you on Instagram, you absolutely have to send them a message thanking them for following you. How did you get on their radar? And are there any questions that you might be able to help them out with? Like, they're following you for a purpose. And if you're talking about, and you'll know most likely when they did, because you did a video, then all of a sudden you got 2 or 3 followers, it's probably related to that video, right? So engage with those people. So let me give you, good stuff here. Dom, doing good?
You're doing great. I just wanted to make a point there, though, of the value of these relationships. Johnny Jennings was telling me about one relationship he has. He's in Roseville, and he was telling me about a relationship he has with an agent in the East Bay. The two of them over the last 3 years have exchanged $4 million in business. One relocation relationship. Okay. So when Keith is talking about some realtor suddenly following you from South Carolina and the value of you DMing them, it's worth that, right? I don't
mean,
know
why
that
the
it's
heck,
gonna be
why
worth
the heck
4
are we
million in
spending,
business.
yeah, why the heck are we spending all this time and energy curating this content if we're not going to engage with the people that decide to follow you based on the content you put out there? It's kind of crazy, to be honest. Right. And so we have to engage. And so there's a strategy that I use 3 times a week, and I call it 10, 10, 10. And so it's 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 direct messages per day. So I'm super ADD. And Instagram and social media is a problem for me because you get into the death scroll, right? And all of a sudden, like 45 minutes go by, you're like, what the heck did I do? And you have this false sense that you actually got things done, but you didn't do anything. So I try to get in and get out. And so for me on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, I go 10, 10, 10, 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 DMs, and then I'm out. 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 DMs, and then I'm out. And so one of the tricks that I want to teach you is grab your phone really quickly. Could I have the ability to share screen really quickly? Can I share my screen?
You got
Yeah,
that?
you do.
Okay, cool. So I think this video should play. So you see on Instagram where there's this, and this gets me business. This is where I get business. So on your Instagram, on your homepage, will this play? It should play. Yeah, cool. So when you click on that, there's a drop down and it says following in favorites. Did y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
So when you hit that drop down, it's going to drop down and most of you should have it. And it should say following in favorites. Okay, grab your phone and look at that. So everybody have that? So do you know that so if you have people that you're following as your favorites and you click that drop down, Instagram will completely resort your feed to only those people. So Don, you're recruiting real estate agents, right? You're recruiting real estate agents. There's some real estate agents that you want to connect with, you want to stay in front of. Any other agent here? Maybe you've got your top 50 clients that you're trying to, that I got 10 people that I'm trying to get as a listing, and I've got my active people, some other business partners, and maybe some agents I'm trying to cultivate relationships with. So that the problem with the algorithm is you might be following 400, 500, 600, 2,000 people. It may not be the people that you want to engage with or the most that have the most impact to your business. But what the favorites does is you put these people in your favorites, you click favorites, it completely resorts your feed to just those people.
Oh, I love it.
And so, yeah.
One of the things that we're training our agents to do now is to build everyone, due to Buffini's influence, everyone has been building personal spheres of influence, right?
Yes.
For whom they are a real estate resource to become the realtor of choice. And what we're training them now is, hey, actually even more valuable would be to build a professional sphere. So if you build that professional sphere of, let's say, the top 100 relo markets to you with agents, coincidentally, that could be with other companies that might have an interest in talking with you about EXP, and you deploy key strategy of favorites and then engage your 10 by 10 with those people. Wow, what a great return on time that is.
Absolutely. And so there's also a really good book. It's called Giftology. I love it. Check it out, take a look at it. And it's the art of building relationships through gifting. I read it, and then we added that into this. And so what I'm doing when I'm going on socials, I'm not only looking for a 10, 10, 10 opportunity, I'm looking for a gifting opportunity, right? Amazon will do a get well package. It's $25 and they'll drop shit to someone's home same day. And it's got like seltzer water and vitamin C and a couple other things. And how cool is that if you're a real estate agent, you're on social media, they posted they're home sick for the day, and then you send them drop ship same day, a get well package from their realtor, right? Like they're never going to forget that. And any other like Zillow can't compete with that. I can't compete. You can't compete with Zillow on a national level, but they cannot compete with us at a local level. When you get hyper local, they can't compete. And that's what this database, which is what social media is going to do, is if you use it that way, that's how you're going to elevate those relationships. Super cool story. One of my best clients, he does a post. His son got accepted into the Air Force Academy. So I went on to Etsy, designed a blue Air Force dad hat, and I sent it to him, right? I got no less than 3 text messages over the course of like a week and a half. And the final text message was, Keith, once I have not taken this hat off since you gave it to me. And the moment that I received the hat is when it became real for me. And I'm so grateful.
Mm.
So it was like an $18 hat that I designed on Etsy and sent to him directly from Etsy. Like it was easy. But I wouldn't have known this if I wasn't following him on social media with the mindset of I need to engage with people, but also how can I love on these people in a way that no one else will or can. And so those are the opportunities that, so, there are people I talk to a lot like this, was like social media is like, I'm not comfortable on video. That's cool. Don't do video. Use it as a big old database and just find opportunities to love on people and jump and appear in their life in a way that some of their best friends don't. And you're their freaking realtor.
Yeah.
That's the power, I think, of social media, is the information that it can give you if you utilize it the right way.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, this is great stuff, Keith. And I don't want to get out of this call though without addressing what our nation is facing in terms of the affordability crisis. I believe that, I don't know with this recent drop, but we had been at a level of unaffordability that we hadn't seen since 1981 when interest rates were 18%. And I know that you recently made a change from a major national mortgage company to the Lending Collective. And you had mentioned to me in the pre-interview that had enabled you to deliver a more competitive rate. Can you translate that into buying power for the consumer? So let's just use an example of nationwide. Let's say that the average loan's 400,000. What is 0.5% going to mean to the consumer? How much more home can they afford to buy in that context?
Well, I mean, probably $30,000 ish more home. Look, like, when rates were at 2.5% and your lender was offering 2.7, like nobody cared because they were at 2.7%, right? But now someone's, getting our lender's offering 7.25 and someone else is offering 6.99. No matter how much time we've invested with customers, answering calls on the weekends, sending out approval letters after hours, meeting them at their home, whatever, all the things that we're doing, rate matters more now than ever before. And I felt compelled, based on a few other reasons, to jump back into, because when I started, I was a mortgage broker, jump back into an independent mortgage broker. And that's really where the opportunity, I think, lies right now from an affordability standpoint, is access to extremely unique product to customers who qualified that couldn't before. And then really, we just don't have the layers. And I don't mean to disparage, and maybe this is not great information. You can shut me down anytime, bud, but the cross countries, right? The Fairways, the American Pacific Mortgages, the Movement Mortgages, great companies. And in 2008, 2009, 2010, when kind of the industry crumbled, those companies really came alive, and we were able to do things that we weren't able to do before. But they've grown so big and added so many layers that it's impacted interest rates, and that's the unfortunate nature of what's happened. And so the independent mortgage broker can come out, and I mean, we're like 5.5% on government loans right now, whereas most retail mortgage banks are in the low to mid sixes. That's a significant difference for a first-time home buyer that's trying to qualify for a home, and every penny matters. And that's where I think the opportunity with the Lending Collective that we've created and the space with an independent mortgage broker is going to be able to help our agents sell more homes and our clients buy more homes.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, you provided us a tremendous amount of value. I liked, by the way, the comparison to $82,000 over the Zestimate as opposed to $30,000 over list. When I hear somebody saying, I sold the home for $30,000 over list, I think, well, that agent screwed up the pricing. And that's the narrative that the consumer could be telling themselves. You spoke
Correct.
to the narrative gap. But if you poke it at Zillow that way, then I'm really okay with that. So I like that. I love your 10 by 10. One of the things that I would like us to do as a collective is if you know of somebody like Ken Pozek, I hope you guys grab that link. the realtor in Orlando that Keith spoke of. If you know of anybody on the top 4 platforms, so think YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, that is doing an outstanding job, get that information to Megan and she will post it up at our Facebook page, Atomic Habits, powered by EXP, which is Keith, that's our private Facebook group, and which you're welcome to join. And
I'd love to.
If you have other people besides Ken, and if you do figure out that woman in South Carolina with 1 million views doing her makeup, talking about the market, you could put that in there. But
hey, Ashley Walker is a great person, I think, to follow. Hey, Ashley Walker. So she is a newer agent that just got into real estate about 2-3 years ago. She's in the EXP family, and she is all about relocating to Nashville, and she's blown up. I'm absolutely blown up, and it's all been through Instagram. So I think she's a great follow. And then another person, just because I'm in Tennessee, and I, if you're in a relocation area, like, lean into that. So there's another person, which is Move Me to Tennessee. So if you follow Move Me to Tennessee, I think those two are doing social, specifically on Instagram, the way that the platform is going to promote your business, and people will follow you and you'll generate opportunity from it.
Love it. Love it. All right, you guys, did we, let me just make sure we didn't have any questions in the chat. Keith did put his contact information in the chat, if you'd like to reach out to him personally. And
I do have a question, if you don't mind.
yeah, go ahead, Anna Maria.
Is there a way to, so you're mentioning reaching out to people who started following you. Is there a way to look up whoever started following you in the last 3 days, for example?
Yeah, so on most of the platforms, you're going to be able to go into your settings and see who has recently followed you. So like on Instagram, it's, what is it, the heart in the top right-hand section. If you click on that, you just can scroll through and see who's following you. All Things Twist just started following me. Is that what it is? Courtney? Yep, there it is. So Courtney just followed me. I'm going to follow Courtney back. I'm going to go to her page. Oh, can I save some people's? This is the best tip I have for you right here. Okay, I'm sorry. So this will be helpful. So does anybody do text replacement in their cell phone? Changing your lives right now. This is the best tip that I have. Okay. All right. So if you're iPhone user, so you'll like this, Courtney. Watch. I'm just going to type in INSTA, Insta, and it automatically is going to send you, hey, thanks for the follow. How are you? So in most of your cell phones, if you were to type in, what is it, On My Way, OMW, it will automatically auto-populate in your text, On My Way. So this is a text replacement. So go to your settings, go to keyboard, and set up text replacements. And so for me, I have a ton of text replacements. So what are the common things, like an email signature, what are the common things that you text to clients a lot? Like, hey, I just set up a showing at this address, blah, 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 blah. If you or like Instagram hashtags, I have IG1, IG2, and IG3, and it has all of my pre-saved hashtags in there. And so when I just type in IG1, it auto-populates all of the hashtags. If I type in happy, it will automatically populate. Hey, saw it was your birthday today. Wanted to reach out and wish you a happy birthday. I hope it's your best year ever. Right? Because like Facebook will tell you who your people's birthdays are. So I just go in, I type in happy, it auto-populates it. So sorry, that was a tangent, but text replacement will help.
Yeah. No,
so Anna Marie, if you just go into your history, it will show you in all of them.
Fantastic. All right.
Any other questions?
By the way, Courtney is, she built a fantastic boutique brokerage in the Mariposa area by Yosemite, and has recently joined us at EXP. But so she's a great person for you to connect with, Keith.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you for taking the time. Keith.
Thanks, Keith. Great job.
As always, you delivered, buddy. You're awesome.
Take care.
We
Appreciate
love
you.
Take care.
See you.
Aloha.
Aloha, Anna Maria.